Hello everybody, this is Ben, the artist, the author of the Prehistoric Creature cartoon series. And in this video, I'm actually going to utilize some of my own cartoon drawings along with the other images that I found on the internet to offer a brief crash course on the whole evolution of humans. You know that the whole evolution subject, and especially the evolution of mankind, has really been a preoccupation of my life. And this whole idea of during hundreds of millions of years, when we starting from a tiny little creature and ultimately become us as who we are, has really been a egregious subject matters that is truly actually overwhelming for the quotidian mind. But once you start to really fathom the magnitude of such huge biological progression and evolution, and it really broadens up your worldview and opens your mind up. And I just find this subject matter really fascinating. So in this short video, I'm going to do a short demonstration along with my narration to briefly offer a expatiation on the progression of mankind starting from its very earlier stage. So here we go. The first one I'm going to show is this unique, wonderful, and fascinating creature called Tiktalik. Tiktalik is a very, very ancient creature, a symbolic creature that is unique in terms of its place in the history of evolution, because it is the first kind of creature that crawl out of water and become tetrapods, and that means that the fish using its fins and become legs and walk on its four legs. And this kind of creature existed during this geological time period called Devonian period, some 375 million years ago. So going back that far, our ancestor would look something like this. The Tiktalik, I'm not saying Tiktalik is the direct ancestor of us, but going back 375 million years ago, our ancestor would look something like that. The first kind of creature just crawl out of water. The evolutionary theory of this, that these creatures crawl out of water, these tiny little creatures, is crawling out of water based on necessity to evade these ferocious large predators in the ocean, just trying to snatch them for a quick snack or something. So they found out on the necessity to evade these predators and got off land. And the first creature that became amphibious. So Tiktalik is a very unique creature. And going back that far, our ancestor would look something like that. So this is our first stage in our evolution progression. And here I'm showing another naturalistic illustration by another artist. This is a realistic interpretation of the Tiktalik. It's still got its scales, everything, but you can clearly see that the fins naturally turn into legs and enable them to start to walk on land. And at this stage, they're still amphibious and they're still reptiles. And here's another one that I found in the internet, a naturalistic interpretation, illustrating the idea that how the first land creature evolved by crawling out of water. Okay, the next very significant creature is called the Cynodon. Cynodon is a unique creature in terms of its placement in the history of evolution, because it represents this missing link between how mammals evolved from being reptile and ultimately become mammals. Because Cynodon, this creature is almost like half mammals and half reptile. They represent sort of the proto-mammals. They existed during the earliest stage of this geological period called Triassic, some 250 million years ago. And it is likely that they already developed their furs, and they have transformed from being cold-blooded as reptile into becoming warm-blooded, even though they're still laying eggs, sort of like the monotremes, mammals like the platypus of today. But they're already demonstrating a unique features that is very characteristics of mammals. And one unique feature of that as well is that they start to suckle their young, and they start to care for their young. And I think that is a very significant aspect of becoming mammals. And ultimately for us is that they give a competitive edge in terms of survival and in terms of evolution, is that the parents start to take care of their young. And at times of dire situation, they actually ate their young in order to preserve themselves and got away from dangerous situation in order to breed for another group of young, so they can preserve themselves and their young. And these are the proto mammals existed during the time of dinosaurs. So in a way that they're the underdogs that roam around in the bottom of the food chains, and they're actually the fossorial creature, which means they dig their burrows and they live underground most of the times. And this is just to demonstrate how dire the situation is for mammals to actually survive and make a living during the reigns of these ferocious, these terrifying dinosaurs that ruled the earth back then during Jurassic and Cretaceous times. But these guys actually make it out, because after dinosaurs died out, these guys transformed, and these guys survived. And ultimately, subsequently, that mammals start to rule the earth. And I'm not saying Cynodon is our ancestor, but going back to 250 million years ago, during the transitional period between how the mammals transformed from reptiles, our ancestor would look something like this. And here's a BBC computer animated CGI image of a naturalistic illustration of how a cynodon looks like. A typical kind of shy mammals that live under the ground, dig its burrows to try to eke out a living in those dire situations. And all of these guys are no bigger than today's dogs. And they can't grow even larger than that, because the dinosaur easily snatched them away. So these guys had a tough living, but they tough it out. And that is such a unique and precious aspect, that these guys actually survived. And by the end of Cretaceous, all 95% of all Earth creature died out, and what we have left with is all of these little tiny mammals that inherited the almost empty Earth. Okay, the next unique aspect is this little creature called Gardenosia. It is one of the earliest type of primates, and ultimately this one gone extinct. But this is just to show how humans has to become monkeys first in order to become human, because you cannot transform into a bat and become human, or transform into a spider and becomes human. And even though Batman, Spider-Man is just these imagination of contemporary human culture, but from a scientific point of view, all humans has to be monkeys first in order to become human. So at this stage, it is the geological time called the Eocene epoch.